1 Kings chapter 7. Where the Betobana Shalomo, the Lord the Eshere Shana, and Shalomo built his house 13 years. Wayekal et kol beto, and he finished all his house. Wayibn et bet Ya'ar halabanon, and he built the house of the forest of the Lebanon. Me'ahama orko, 100 cubits its length. Wachamishimahama rohabo, and 50 cubits its breadth. Uthalothimahama qomato, and 30 cubits its height. Al arba'at ure amudehrazim, upon 4 rows of pillars of cedars. Ukurutot arazim al ha'amudim, and cut beams of cedars upon the pillars. Wasapun bars mimal al hatlaot atra al ha'amudim arba'im khamisha ashar hatur, and panelled by means of the cedar from above upon the ribs which were upon the pillars, 40 and 5, 15 the row. Ushqupim thlothat urim, and beams 3 rows. Umhazah el mhazah thaloth pa'amim, and window to window 3 times. Ukol hapatahim wahamzuzot rubu'im shaqaf, and all the doors and the posts square with framework. Wamul mhazah el mhazah thaloth pa'amim, and over against a window to a window 3 times. We'etahulam ha'amudim asha, and the porch of the pillars he effectuated. Chamishim hama orko, 50 cubits its length. Uthalothim hama rohabo, and 30 cubits its breadth. Ulam alpanehem, and a porch upon their face. Wa'amudim wa'ab alpanehem, and pillars and a cloud or beam or threshold upon their faces. Wulam hakiseh, and the porch of the throne. Atarayithapotatham, where he would judge there. Ulam hamithapat asha, the porch of the judgment he effectuated. Wasafun bars, also panelled in the cedar. Mehakkarqa adhakkarqa, from the floor as far as the floor. Waveto atrayethebtham, and his house where he would dwell there. Hather ha'acharat, the other court. Mibet laulam, from the inside for the porch. K'ma'asher hadhaya, like this work it was. Wavayit ya'asher levat para'o, and a house he effectuated for the daughter of Paro. Atralaqah Shalomo, which Shalomo had taken. Kaulam hadha, like this porch. كل هبانيم يقاروت كمدوت غازيت. All these precious stones as measured things hewn. Megora rot bamgera, sawn by the sword. Mibbayit wumihut, from inside and from outside. Wumimasad adhatafahot, and from the foundation as far as the copings. Umihut adhathir hagdola, and from outside as far as the great court. Umiyusad abanim yakarot abanim gdolot, and founded with precious stones, big stones. Avne esher hamot, stones of 10 cubits. Wahabane thermone hamot, and stones of 8 cubits. Wumil ma'ala abanim yakarot kmidot gazit waras, and from above precious stones as measured things cut, and cedar. Wahather hagdola sabib, and the great or big court round about. Thalotha turim gazit, 3 rows hewn. Utur kurutot harazim, and a cut row of cedars. Wulahathar bet Yahweh, and for the court of the house of Yahweh, hapanimit, the inner court, ululam habayit, and for the porch of the house. Vayishlah hamelech Tholomo, vayikah et Hiram mithor, and the king Shlomo sent, and he took Hiram from Thor. Benethalmanahu, the son of a widow woman he was. Mimmate Naphtali, from the tribe of Naphtali. Wabiu Ishithori, and his father a Thori man. Horesh Nehoshet, a craftsman of bronze. Wayimale et hahokama, wet hatvuna, wet hadat, lashot, kol malahaka, ban hoshet. And he was filled with the wisdom, and with the understanding, and with the knowledge to effectuate every work by the bronze. Wayavo Elhamelech Shlomo, and he came to the king Shlomo. Wayash et kol malachato, and he effectuated all his work. Wayathar et thane ha'amudim, and he fashioned the 2 of the pillars. Nehoshet, bronze. Thamone eshere amma, 18 cubits. Qomat ha'amud ha'ehad, the height of the 1 pillar. Wahut thetem eshere hamma yasob et ha'amud hatheni, and a line of 12 cubits compassed the 2nd pillar. Uthete tarot asha latet al rashe ha'amudim muthaq nehoshet, and 2 capitals he effectuated to give upon the heads of the pillars, cast in bronze. Chamesh hamot qomat hakotert ha'ehad וחמש אמות קומת הכותרת התנית. 5 cubits, the height of the one capital, and 5 cubits, the height of the second capital. Shavakim ma'aseh shavaka, nets, a work of a network. Gidilim ma'aseh sharsharot, twistings, a work of little chains. Lakotarot, atra ala rosh ha'amudim, for the capitals which were upon the head of the pillars. Shiva'a lakoteret ha'ehat, v'shiva'a lakoteret ha'thenit. 7 for the one capital, and 7 for the second capital. Wayash et ha'amudim, and he effectuated the pillars. Uthanet urim saviv al hashavaka ha'ehat lekalot et hakotarot atar al rosh harimonim וכן עשה לכותרת התנית. And 2 rows round about upon the one network to cover the capital which was upon the head of the pomegranates. But the Syriac says the pillars. And thus he effectuated to the second capital. Ukotarot atra al rosh ha'amudim, and capitals which were upon the pillars. Ma'aseh Shushan Ba'ulam, a work of lily in the porch. Arba Amot, 4 cubits. Ukotarot al ha'amudim, and capitals upon the 2 pillars. Gama mim'al mil'ummat habeten atra le'ever hashavaka, also from above, from beside the belly, which was across the network. Waharimonim mataim turim saviv, and 200 pomegranates rose round about. Al hakoteret hathenit, upon the second capital. Wayaqam et ha'amudim, and he caused the pillars to stand. Lulam ha'hekal, for the porch of the temple. Wayaqam et ha'amud hayamani, wayiqrah et shemo Yachin, and he caused the right pillar to stand, and he called its name Yachin. Wayaqam et ha'amud hashemali, wayiqrah et shemo Boaz, and he caused the left pillar to stand, and he called its name Boaz. Wa'ala rosh ha'amudim ma'aseh shoshan, and upon the head of the pillars a work of a lily. Watitum mala'ekat ha'amudim, and the work of the pillars was finished. Wayash et hayam mutzaq, And he effectuated the sea, a cast thing. Esher Bahama Mishafato Adashafato Agol Sabib, 10 by the cubit, from its lip as far as its lip. Round, round about. Wchamesh Bahama Gomato, and 5 cubits its height. Waqaw Thalothim Bahama Yasobhoto Sabib, and a measure or a line of 30 by the cubit encircled it round about. Upqaim mitahat lishafato sabib, and knops from under to its lip round about. Sobabim hoto, encircling it. Esher bahama makifim etahayam sabib, 10 by the cubit, encircling the sea round about. Thaneturim hapqaim, 2 rows of the knops. Yithuqim biyithuqato, cast things in its casting. Omed alathane ashar bakar, a thing standing upon 12 oxen. Thalothaponim thaponah, 3 facing to the north. Uthalothaponim yam, and 3 facing to the west. Uthalothaponim negaba, and 3 facing to the south. Uthalothaponim mizrah, and 3 facing to the east. Wahayam alehem milma'ala, and the sea upon them from above. Ukol achorehem bayata, and all their behinds to the inward place. Wa'abayotepah, and its thickness a handbreadth. Ushafato kama'ashe shafata kos, and its lip like the work of a lip of a cup. Perach shoshan, the blossom of a lily. Alapaim bat yakil, it was containing 2,000 bath. Wayash ethamkonot esher nuhoshet, and he effectuated the stands, 10 of bronze. Arba bahama, 4 by the cubit. Orch hamko nahad, the length of the one stand. Warba bahama rohbah, and 4 cubits its breadth. Withaloth bahama gomathah, and 3 by the cubit its height. Wither ma'asher hamkona, and this is the work of the base. Misgarot lahem, borders for them. Misgarot ben hashalabim, and borders between the ledges or joinings. Wa'alaham misgarot atar ben hashalabim, rayot bakar ukurubim, wa'ala hashalabim ken mimma'al, and upon the borders which were between the ledges, lions and oxen and cherubim, and upon the ledges thus from above. ومن تحت الرايات والأبقار لويوت مع مراد. And from under to the lions and to the oxen, wreaths, a work of a hanging down thing. وأربعة فنين حشت لم كونا هات وسرني نحشت وأربعة بعموتايو كتفوت لهم. And 4 wheels of bronze for the base, the one base, and axles of bronze, and 4 of its feet, shoulders for them. מתחת לכיור הכתפות יצוקות. From under to the laver, the shoulders were cast. מעבר איש לויות. From across each, wreaths. وفيه מבית לכותרת ומעלה בהמה وفيها عقل مع شكن أما وحتي هما. And its mouth from within to the capital and above by the cubit, and its mouth round about, the work thus, a cubit and half of the cubit. وَغَمَ عَلَى piha مِقْلَاءот. And also upon its mouth carvings. وَمِسْغَرَوتِهِمْ مُرُبَّعَوت لَوْ عَغُولَوت. And their borders were square things, they were not round. وَأَرْبَعَةَ هَوْفَنِيمْ. And the 4 wheels, لَمِتَحَتَ لَمِسْغَرَوت. For from under to the borders, وِيَدَوتَ هَوْفَنِيمْ بَمْكُونَا. And the axle trees of the wheels in the base. وَقَوْمَتَهَا وَفَنْهَا إِحَادٍ أَمَّا وَحَتِي هَمَّا. And the height of the one wheel, a cubit and a half of the cubit. وَمَعَشَيْهَا وَفَنِيمْ. And the work of the wheels, كَمَعَشَيْ وَفَنْ هَمْرْكَابَا. Like the work of a wheel of the chariot. يَدُوتَمْ وَغَبِّهِمْ. Their axle trees and their fellows. وَحِشُّقِهِمْ وَحِشُّرِهِمْ. And their spokes and their naves. حَقُّ الْمُوثَاقِ. The whole a thing cast. وَأَرْبَعَ كتفوت إلى 4 بنوت همكونا هات. And 4 shoulders to the 4 corners of the one base. من همكونا كتفها. From the base, its shoulders. وبروش همكونا حتيها مقوما. And in the head of the base, half of the cubit, its height, agol sabib, circular round about. وعلى الروش همكونا يدوتها. And upon the head of the base, its hands. ومسجروتها ممنا, and its borders from it. ويفتح على اللوحات يدوتها, and he engraved upon the boards of its hands. وعلى مسجروتها, and upon its borders, كروبيم, أرايوت, وتيموروت, cherubim, lions, and palm trees, كمعريش ولويوت صابيب, like the space of each, and wreaths round about. كاذوت عشا et عشر همكونوت, like this he effectuated the 10 bases. مثاق إحاد مداءحت قسب إحاد لكلهنا, one casting, one measure, one shape for all of them. ويعش عشارة كيوروت نحوشت, and he effectuated 10 lavers of brass. أربعين بط ياكيل حكيور هاد, 40 bath the one laver contained. أربعة بهما حكيور had, 4 by the cubit was the one laver. Kiyor ehad al hamkonaha ahad le'esher hamkonot, one laver upon one base for the 10 bases. Wayitten et hamkonot chamesh al ketep habait miyamin, وخامش al ketep habait mishimolo, and he gave 5 bases upon the shoulder of the house from the right, and 5 upon the shoulder of the house from its left. وتهيام ناتن مكتب حبيت هيمانيت قدمه ممول نغب, and the sea he gave from the shoulder of the house, the right shoulder of the house, eastward, from the place to the south. ويعش حيروم اتحكيوروت وتهياعيم وتهمزراقوت, and Hiram or Hiram finished the lavers and the shovels and the sprinkling basins. ويخل Hiram لعشوت et kol hamalaka atra'asha lamelech Shlomo bet Yahweh, and Hiram finished to effectuate all the work which he effectuated for King Shlomo for the house of Yahweh. Amudim Thanaim, 2 pillars, ugulot hakotarot atra ala rosh ha'amudim Thatayim, and bowls of the capitals which were upon the head of the pillars, 2. Wahashavakot Thatayim, and the networks, 2. Lekasot et thate gulot hakotarot atra ala rosh ha'amudim, to cover the 2 bowls of the capitals which were upon the head of the pillars. وتحرمونيم 400 لثته hashavakot, and the pomegranates 400 for the 2 networks. Thaneturim rimonim lashavaka ha'ehad, 2 rows of pomegranates for the one network. Lekasot et thetegulot hakotarot atra alpene ha'amudim, to cover the 2 bowls of the capitals which were upon the faces of the pillars. Where the hamkornot asher, and the 10 bases, where the hakiorot ashara alhamkornot, and the 10 lavers upon the bases, where the hayam had, and the 1 sea, where the habakar thnema ashar tahat hayam, and the oxen 12 under the sea, where the hasirot, where the hayaim, and the pots and the shovels, where the hamizrakot, and the sprinkling basins, where the kol hakelim ha'el, and all these things or vessels, Atar Asha Hiram Lamelech Shlomo Bet Yahweh, which Hiram effectuated for the king Shlomo for the house of Yahweh, Nehoshet Memorat, polished bronze, Bekikar Hayordan Yithakam Hamelech, in the plain of the Jordan, the king did cast them. B'ma'ave ha'adama, in the clay or thickness of the ground. Ben Sukkot within Tzaratan, between Sukkot and between Tzaratan. Wayanah Shlomo et kol hakelim merob mod, and Shlomo left all the vessels or things from abundance exceedingly great, exceedingly great. Lo nehakar mithqal hanhoshet, the weight of the bronze was not sought out. Wayash Shlomo et kol hakelim atra bet Yahweh, and Shlomo effectuated all the things which were for the house of Yahweh. Et the mizbah hazahab, the altar of the gold, where et the hashulhan atra alayu lechem hapanim dahab, and the golden table, which upon it was the bread of the presence, where the hamnorot chamesh miyamin uchamesh mishimol lifnei hadbir dahab sagur, and the lampstands, 5 from the right and 5 from the left, before the oracle, treasured gold. Wahaperach, wahanerot, wahamalakahim, dahab, and the blossom, and the lamps, and the tongs, gold. Wahasipot, wahamzamrot, wahamizrakot, wahakapot, wahamhatot, dahab sagur, and the cups, and the snuffers, and the sprinkling basins, and the spoons, and the firepans, treasured gold. Wahapotot ledalatot habait hapnimi lekodesha hakodashim ledalate habait lahekal dahab, and the hinges for the doors of the inner house for the holiness of the holinesses, for the doors of the house for the temple, gold. Watishalam kol hamalaka, and all the work was completed. Atara Asha Hamelech Shalomo Bet Yahweh, which the king Shalomo effectuated for the house of Yahweh. Vayave Shalomo et Kodesh David Haviu et HaKesef ואת הזהב ואת הכלים נתן באוצרות בית יהוה. And Shlomo brought the holinesses of David his father, the silver and the gold, and the vessels or things he gave in the treasuries of the house of Yahweh.